It's not a positive quality. Refusing to change, refusing to budge is not a good thing. Adaptability is of paramount importance to anything, everything. There's nothing, name a thing, like related to society and institutions and culture, name anything related to that, that's better off by sticking its head in the sand and staying exactly the way it is now, in this moment in time, and never changing. Nothing is better off that way. Even things that are supposed to be, resolute. I mean, religion, for example. I mean, they, and I think that's a lot of it really does stem from religion. I mean, universities used to be religious institutions. They were, you were a member of clergy if you got a degree, and that hasn't been true for a long time. But they have their foundations in the church. So the church did a lot of good things for us. Religion has done a lot of good things for us. People like to forget that part. I don't forget that. It's true. It's absolutely true. A lot of great things, and they can continue to do good things for us. I don't think they need to be stomped out or anything like that. I just think they need to adapt. They need to just admit that maybe their core beliefs are not perfect. Let's just change. Let's just tweak one little whip. Just allow for some flexibility. Allow for amendments. If you do that, it's going to serve you in the long term in a huge way. It's no longer sensible to insist that your way is the only way, and that it's perfect as it is, and it's never been true in the first place. I mean, at least not with Christianity, and I highly suspect other religions too. They have had updates. They do. Vatican I, Vatican II. I mean, they're not very often, but they do happen. And I have to suspect that there's probably been some, analogous changes to other forms of Christianity and other religions as well. So to the extent that religion is capable of doing that, it's the extent that they're going to be adaptable and will survive into the future. If they don't, if they just insist on keeping it the way it is, I don't think they're going to last. They're doomed. The very thing that they fear, there's a lot of easily triggered people on the internet that are creating stupid videos that are obvious. They're just displaying their laundry for everyone, their insecurities. They're massively insecure. They're very triggered by just about anything, any kind of this advanced scientific understanding. They're really, most of them are really still, most of the Protestant ones are still just hammering on evolution. Like they haven't gotten past that one. Just look into it. There are so many people that are trying to disprove evolution, and they're making the same arguments over and over again. And they're not listening to any of the responses to those arguments. They just don't. Frankly, I think a lot of them are grifters, and they're just appealing to, because they know there's a lot of Protestants out there that are trying to grapple with this cognitive dissonance that they have between their core belief structure, which informs them that what they were taught is flawless, and it's the gospel, can't be wrong, and they're trying to reconcile that with mountains of evidence that it's wrong, and the fact that most people around them in most jobs are not. They don't believe that what they believe. So that's a difficult thing to contend with, and I can see how it would make a lot of people insecure. If they really do identify with their beliefs, that's tough. Like, how do you handle that? So it's for their sake more than anything. Religion needs to serve its own members, it really needs to learn to allow for change and allow for flexibility. But the damage was done. I mean, it really did. Even though universities are secular now, they're still human institutions, and just like all other human institutions, they're influenced by people's core belief structures, and it's like bred into our nature practically. I don't think it is our nature, though. I think the idea of having like a inflexible core belief structure is actually something you really have to work at. You've got to do all kinds of mental gymnastics to maintain a static, unchanging worldview. It's not easy to do. And that's why there's all those videos coming out that assist people, to enable them to stay where they are and to not update their ideas. It's toxic. It's really not helpful. And I don't think it's unrelated to this massive polarization. People like to talk about how polarized we are, and everyone's got a theory on why. And a lot of it's the media, or, I mean, usually it's the other side. It's their fault. Or if it's not that, then it's the media, or it's the government. And people they just they love to point to like groups and teams and other like people and just say it's their fault. But maybe it's more complicated. Maybe there's like a component to history, a component to the way we think about things that has had effects, that are hard to quantify or connect to. Something very specific, but it's kind of a nebulous sort of ripple effect of the past kind of rebounding and coming back to haunt us. I don't know. But at its core, I think we can, every institution and every, there's nothing partisan about it, accepting that, with new evidence, things should change. And that's at the core here. And I think that a major stumbling block to that today is that religion is still really big. Yeah, okay, our government's secular, whatever, quote, quote. But we're not. We're not. Not enough of us, anyway. Like, I wonder what the breakdown is if you could just know. Like, what percent of let's just say America, what percent of America has at their core belief structure something static and unchanging, and what percent doesn't? It is very interesting that the data coming back that I need to review more carefully before I draw any. But I've seen it mentioned more than once. Studies, reviews of studies, metadata, suggesting that one difference that's been identified between people of more conservative mindsets and people of, more progressive mindsets is that the conservatives are less comfortable with uncertainty, and people that don't identify as being conservative are more comfortable with it. I mean, what is uncertainty? And that's exactly what I'm talking about here. Uncertainty is absolutely just it's related. It's just another way to say static and unchanging or not. Like you can't be certain if you're having a static and unchanging worldview is the result of being certain. It's the result of certainty. Certainty is dangerous. You can justify all kinds of insane shit if you are certain about something. And it's why the bar for evidence is so high before, for like murder trials and what have you, because from that point onward, the defendant is treated with certainty that they did this thing. So much so that we'll execute them. We still do this. But it's not certain. And there's been many examples of new evidence coming to light after they've been executed or, dwindled away in prison for decades. Oh, whoops. Turns out it wasn't that person. Oh, our bad. So yeah, that's the danger of certainty. I mean, that's you can't be certain. There's nothing you can be certain of. reality itself does not allow for it. I don't care what your book says. It's built into the code of reality, uncertainty. You cannot know with 100%. You cannot predict to 100% accuracy where something even is. You can predict. Like if you treat the thing as like a object of, we just sort of wrap all the atoms and electrons and just call it a ball. And then you can start doing Newtonian mechanics with it, and it vastly simplifies things. But it does not describe with 100% accuracy and certainty and precision everything about that ball. You really don't know where the electrons are. But that doesn't matter. Most of the time, you don't need to know. So it doesn't matter. But just saying, though, that there is built in, when you look closely enough, you go down, you try to go down, it's like you keep asking why is there this? Why is there that? Why? Eventually, reality just says, I don't know. It does. It just gives you a big middle finger if you keep doing that. We kept asking it, and we kept looking closer and more closer and closer, and we just got a big middle finger. It's turtles all the way down. So I think that should be a hint.